Phuket has had a triple hit over the past 12 months. Firstly, with the original COVID-19 outbreak and lockdowns back in April and May in 2020. Then again, just before Christmas and New Year, when the new clusters emerged in Samut Sakhon and the eastern coastal provinces, further dampening even local traveller traffic to the island. Then some further restrictions announced in the second week of January, adding even further restrictions on travellers. The island, which should be in the middle of its busiest time of the year, is now almost completely devoid of any visitors and any revenue for its battered tourist economy. Welcome to Surin Beach here in Phuket, as we're back to check out the high season, usually this time of the year, say between the start of December and the end of March. Phuket will just be jam-packed with international tourists, the busiest time of the year. And year on year, Phuket would get some 10 million tourists coming to it per year, this time of the year being by far the busiest. Even this stretch of road here at Surin Beach, 5 years ago, used to have a range of restaurants and nightclubs and beach clubs. They were removed by the NCPO when the military government took over in 2014. But even since then, the locals have been setting up little shops and running a roaring trade during the high season. But not anymore. Now we've just got a few local vendors selling their wares here, and really it's very quiet. An interesting story about Surin Beach was that in 1956, King Bhumibol Adulyadej visited this actual beach with Queen Sirikit only 10 years after he became the King of Thailand. For the people of this area, that makes this a very special beach indeed. We now come to Kamala Beach. This is a really popular area for expats, sort of a little quiet village that gets quite busy during the high season. But certainly not this year. The roads are pretty much deserted and a lot of the shops are closed, and looks like they've been that way for many, many months. The actual beach, well, I can probably from here count 5 or 6 people along the entire beach, and it's the middle of a beautiful afternoon on a Saturday here in Phuket. And now just a few more kilometres south and we come to the main party town of Patong, and look at it, it's just empty. Now, to say it's a ghost town would be wrong. It's not a ghost town. There are people here, and some of the hotels are open and even some of the shops are open, but a lot of them are closed. In fact, I'm estimating more than 90% of all the shops here are closed. Actually, it's probably more than that. And here down at the beach, they're trying a festival for the weekend. They've got some shops, they've got some vendors, they've got some music you can hear in the background. But really, the only people coming here are the Thais. Of course, Phuket's got a particular problem. Even though they're trying to attract some local tourism, it's really difficult to get people to come to Phuket because, well, in most cases, you have to fly here. And yes, the local airport's open, but people aren't going to fly from Bangkok down to Phuket just for a weekend. The advantage that Pattaya has is that it's only a 2-hour drive out of Bangkok, so they're sort of managing with a few busy weekends and some festivals that they've organised. But for Patong, it's a really sad story. Some determined expats have stuck it out in Patong, watching most of the working population, along with many of their friends, leave. But not Pradeep, an expat of some 6 years in Patong. We asked him, how quiet is it?
Extremely quiet. Never ever known anything like it.
Really?
It's a ghost town.
Ghost town. You must know some people here. What's their experience?
They've been devastated. Their businesses have just gone down the pan, and these are high, upper middle class Thai people with great businesses before, and they're completely devastated. Their offices are closing down end of this month.
So you think that it's not only the shops, but the landlords? I mean, they're not getting the rent, and then who's paying the bank? It sort of goes all the way down.
I don't know. I'd love to do a stress test on the banks.
Yeah. So how can this possibly recover? I mean, even when the airport reopens, it's going to be a long road back.
I believe it will take at least a year and a half, and I hope that it is. It's very. The COVID's been very well managed, and I hope the entry of the tourists is even better, managed in a much better manner.
Yeah. Good luck. The only good thing to come out of all this lack of tourists is the chance to get some major works done. In Karon, there's been some major road resurfacing going on whilst the roads are quiet, getting ready for the eventual return of the travellers, whenever that might be. We're just another 10 minutes down the road and we get to the area we called Kata Karon. This is in fact Karon Beach, and well, like all the other beaches along the west coast of Phuket, there's not a lot of people here. But there are some Thai families having a great time, and they've got the whole town to themselves. But as far as the shopping strip's concerned, there's probably only 5% of the shops and the restaurants open. The rest is closed and shuttered. Finally we get down to Kata Beach, which is the southernmost beach for our journey today, even though there's some really nice beaches even further down, notably Naihan Beach. But this beach usually for high season would be once again packed with tourists, really popular for the Russians and the Europeans, but this year very few tourists at all. In fact, there's still quite a few vendors around, but they're way outnumbering the tourists at this time. One thing that's really obvious along the west coast is the complete absence of tuk-tuks. You know those red vans that used to ply the west coast, taking tourists from here to there, usually at highly inflated prices? Well, they're almost completely gone from the roads. In fact, throughout today I've seen one. Where are they? Where have they gone? Parked in some garage somewhere? And the passenger vans that used to ply the area between the west coast and the east coast, taking the tourists to the tour boats, well, they're gone as well. They must be sitting in some dusty garage as well. But what's the road to recovery? I mean, it's going to take years, maybe even decades, for Phuket to get back to anything near what it used to have as far as tourist traffic is concerned. For now, Phuket's still open. You can come here anytime you like, if you're willing to sit in quarantine in Bangkok for 2 weeks at the moment anyway. But most of the shops are closed, most of the tour boats aren't running, so there's not much to do here. So on one hand we need the tourists to come, but we also need the shops open at the same time, so there's something for them to do when they get here. That situation doesn't exist at the moment, and the road to recovery for Phuket is a long road indeed. So there's so many changes that...
Thaiger! The best!
Hi! We'll put that at the end.